Alright, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Viva Frei, a Montreal litigator turned YouTuber. I also studied law in Quebec City, and for those of you who don't know about Quebec City, there's very little to do out there in the winter, so I picked up bowling, and everything I know of bowling I learned from bowling 5 nights a week in Quebec City and watching a lot of PBA bowling on whatever, sports network or thingy. I'm gonna teach you the basics because there's a lot to know and there's a lot of science behind bowling. It's not just chucking a ball at some pins. Not a particularly good start. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the texture of the ball. 1 second. Alright, so generally speaking, you have 2 types of balls. You have a resin finish and a latex finish. Latex is a very smooth ball, very little grip, very little curve action. Latex, a lot of grip, a lot of curve. It gets in the pocket to get strikes. I'll explain that in a second, but check out the action on this. Perfect. 1-3 pocket. So the ideal angle to get a strike for a right-handed bowler is called the 1-3 pocket. Pins go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The right-handed bowler wants to come in through the 1-3 pocket. The left-handed bowler wants to come in through the 1-2 pocket. And in order to get in the 1-3 pocket with the proper angle, you have to generate spin on your ball. We'll get to that in a second. That's called robbery. When you have 1 pin left and you don't want very much spin, that's when you move to your latex ball because there's going to be much less of a curve. So you take your latex ball when you know that there's going to be less of a bend from right to left. So now the question is, how do you generate curve in a ball? It's through rotation, and there is a difference between rotation and spin. If you spin the ball in place, it won't rotate and it won't curve. You have to generate sideward curve while the ball is moving forward, which makes it curve down the alley. And that relates to the oil patterns and the dryness of the boards, the texture of the ball, and the curve you put on it, wrist over thumb, to generate not rotation spin, but rotation curve. Just for a little peek here, this is called the executioner, and I only have 2 finger holes. I don't have a thumb hole, due in part to the fact that I don't use my thumb, and also this prevents other people from using my ball. 2 fingers in, thumb, wrist over thumb. And you want to get the right curve down the alley. I'm going to get into this in a second, but the oil pattern dictates how the ball is going to curve as it projects down the alley. Your ideal curve is going to be something like half a raindrop. It's going to go out and then dive in at the last third of the lane. That's not a good shot. Okay, that came in a little soft on the 1-3 pocket, so it didn't project all the pins to the corner. Curve, determined by the oil patterns on the lane. The lane is not a uniform oil pattern. It is in what we call a teardrop sort of shape. There is less oil in the front, more oil in the middle, less oil towards the end, but the outer panels of the bowling lane don't have very much oil on them, and that is where you get your ball to dig in and curve right, which you'll notice the ball slides out and then dives in at the end because the panels on the outside have less oil than the panels in the middle. As for this ball, I'm just going to shoot latex ball, curve slowly so that it has more time to curve. It's going to nail that 7 pin in the corner. It's all about angle, speed, rotation. The harder you shoot the ball, the less curve there's going to be. The slower you shoot the ball, the more curve over the life of the ball there's going to be, which means that if you shoot it from the right, slowly with a curve, it's just going to go into the gutter on the left. You have to shoot from the left out to the right with the curve at the right speed so that it hits the dry boards and dives back into the 1-3 pocket in order to get a strike. I don't even need to look at that, that's a strike. And ball speed is important. If you shoot the ball too hard, it's not going to project the pins into the right direction to get a strike more often than not. If you shoot the ball too hard, you're often left with what's called a ringing 10 pin, meaning the 10 pin sticks for a right-handed shooter if you shoot the ball too hard. Too soft, the ball over curves. You might end up getting what's called a Brooklyn strike. I don't think I'll get one this game, but we'll see if I do. Back to the game. That could be good. And as for getting splits, if the ball is too much down the middle and hits the 1 pin too head on, that increases your likelihood of getting 7-10 splits, 6-7-10 splits, or any form of split. That's perfect. That's a strike also. And an important thing to remember is that the oil pattern will change throughout the game. You're gonna push the oil back, so you have to adjust to where the oil pattern is moving. The dry spot in the beginning might not be the dry spot on the end, and the oily spot at the beginning might not be the oily spot at the end. Okay, we're doing good here. Nothing throws off rhythm like having to wait for the pins to come back up. And while we're waiting, we'll just look at my latex ball, which is a very, very rare fossilized in amber football from the Jurassic period. Fantastic. Why is it not coming back up? Again, only 2 finger holes, no thumb hole. I don't think there are many professional bowlers who bowl like this, but it's worked well for me. So there's something called the Brooklyn strike, which for a right-handed bowler is when the ball overcurves and hits the 1-2 pocket and sort of sweeps all pins to the right. For a left-handed bowler, it's when you overcurl the 1-2 pocket and hit the 1-3 and sweep all the pins to the left. This has been an awful long wait in between, and it's going to have affected my mojo. Here comes the guy. Oh yeah, and typically in a real bowling game you would switch lanes one to the other so you don't get too used to one because it sort of gives you an unfair advantage if you're bowling in a tournament. I am not bowling in a tournament. I don't want to switch over because of the camera. And there's my guy down there gonna fix up the lane. Now would not be a good time to shoot a ball. That's a good strike. And I got a little lucky there because that ball was a little light on the 1-3 pocket. And I got lucky because the delay did not interrupt my mojo. Working on 4 strikes in a row now. That's a strike. Don't get me started on scoring. I still haven't figured out how scoring works. That wasn't a strike, that's a split, and that sucks. Okay, this is a tremendously difficult split. I think this is like the 6-9 split. Anyhow, on something like this, I need to come in sharp on the right, coming to the left, clip the pin on the left, slam it into the one on the right. Let's see if I can do it. For this, I'm gonna want my resin ball with a lot of curve, a lot of power, and a lot of luck. That was tremendously close. Damn it, I hate when that happens. Whew. And there you have your bowling tutorial. Enjoy and bowl hard. Oh, and by the way, like, share, and subscribe because I make what I think are decent quality videos and content for YouTube. Peace out.